Hello everyone, this is Colleen here, aka Crochaysie, and today I am so excited. We are doing our first Power Hour project. And our Power Hour projects are projects that shouldn't take you much longer than an hour or under an hour in many cases. Today our project is going to be this adorable bird, and I will give you all of the information of where you can find this pattern. I found this on the internet from Attic24, such a cute little site, and there's some great patterns on there. Now the pattern itself is in the UK version with the different stitches. I am going to be adjusting that for the US. So either way, you should be covered on what you're going to do here. But this is adorable. It's got a little chain that you're going to make, or you can make, that's optional, to hang it. And then its little feet, which are also, according to the pattern, also optional, but I thought they were adorable. So to me, those have to be there. But what we are going to need for this is a pretty much a three-part make. What we're going to be making is a circle, which is going to be the body. It's just one big circle, and then the beak and our wings for both sides. And then you're going to need to have button. I have just a little pack of buttons here. It's always good to have buttons around for these crochet projects. So make sure you have buttons. And you don't need the same buttons for, you don't really need the same buttons for any of it. You can have a different button on either side of the bird. However you want to do it is fine. A stitch marker, I didn't need a stitch marker, but if you like to use them, that's great. I've got a little needle for sewing in ends, but I'm also going to show you how to just work your ends in as you're going around. Some snippers. This one I am working with an H hook, and you can use whatever hook size you want to. That will determine, of course, how big your bird is going to be, along with the rows, because you can take away some rows or add some rows if you want a bigger or a smaller bird. So this is a fun project because you could make all different size birds, and you could have just a lot of fun with it. Thread. Have some thread handy, unless you have buttons with holes big enough for your little blunt needles and yarn. But I find thread to be much simpler for this project. Now for my other, I've done a couple of these birds now, and I've just used solid colors. I am going to use a mixed color for this. These are the two colors I'm going to use for this bird. I'm going to use this gray, which is a heather, I want to say, and this multicolor one, and then I'm going to use a pink for the wings. So I don't know if any of your yarn bundles look like this. I sure hope so, because a lot of mine certainly do. So let's get started. The first thing we are going to begin with is I like to knock out the pieces of a project. So if I have smaller pieces to make, I like to do that first. Our smaller pieces are going to be our beak and our wings. And so go ahead and have some orange yarn also ready, or yellow, or whatever color you want to make the beak. You can make it whatever color you want to make, even a brown, however. I've gone ahead and printed out instructions from Attic24 website, just to try to keep it, all together here for instructions for everybody. I just copy pasted all the text, and that way what you're following along is right from her website. We're going to start with the beak. We have a triangle beak. And I'm going to use the H hook for all of the parts in this. This is going to be, sometimes I'll switch to a smaller size for something, but I'm going to use the same thing for all of it. For our beak, we are going to start by chaining 5. So go ahead and make your slip knot. And then we're going to chain 5. All right, let's see if we can focus in a little bit. We're going to start from the second chain from the hook and work 1 single crochet into our second chain, and then the rest of the chains from there. So we'll have a total of 4 stitches when we're finished with this. Now on hers, it says starting in the second chain, you're going to work 1 double crochet. And that in the UK, that is the UK version of a single crochet. So we're just going to work a single crochet into each of these stitches across our foundation chain. And then we're going to chain 1 and turn our project. Next, we are going to work single crochet 2 together. So in some of my videos you'll see I have, and that is a decrease. It's the same thing as a decrease. In some of my videos you will see an invisible decrease, but because of what we're working on here, I'm just going to do a regular single crochet decrease. I'm going to go in to that first stitch right there, grab my yarn and pull through, and then I'm going to go into this next stitch, grab my yarn and pull through, and then I'll pull through, yarn over, and pull through all 3 of those. And I'm going to do that one more time. So I'll have a total of 2 stitches when I finish this row. 1, and then come back in and grab that, and then yarn over, and we'll pull through all 3. Okay, and then we're going to chain 1 and turn. Now in her directions, we are going to be working a single crochet 2 together in this the last 2 stitches. So we're going to go into 1, grab our yarn and pull through, go into the next, grab our yarn and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through all 3. Okay? And you've made somewhat of a triangle there. I'm just going to go ahead and chain 1 more there so I can kind of knot that. Leave yourself a tail so you could stitch your beak together and stitch it on to your project as well. You don't need a real long tail. You just need to be able to stitch it onto your whole deal there. So with this beak, you can kind of manipulate it to look more like a triangle, but we're going to fold this in half, and then we're going to stitch it. Just take your yarn and stitch across to close that off to make yourself a beak. And then you'll have this yarn on this end where you can stitch it onto your final project to get it in place. Okay, and that is the end of our beak. Now moving on to the wings. And now we're moving on to our wings. I'm just creating my slip knot here. I hope you'll forgive me. I have a full-blown cold here, and my sniffles along with my occasional cough here and there, I do apologize. For our wings, the pattern tells us to chain 9. So we are going to chain 9. Okay, so after we chain 9, we are going to start working into our second chain from the hook, this one right here. We are going to work the following stitches. In US, we're going to work 1 single crochet, and then we are going to work 1/2 double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches, half, and then 1/2, then we are going to work 1 double crochet into each of the new or next 2 stitches, one half double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches, and then we'll work a single crochet into our last. So you're basically going up in stitch size and then back down again. Okay? And so far, this is what we have. All right. For row 2, first, before we begin row 2, we are going to chain 1 and turn. We are going to work the same thing we worked for row 2, but at the end of row 2 we are not going to turn. So we're going to work 1 single crochet. We're going to work 1/2 double crochet into each of the next 2. One double crochet into each of the next 2. One half double crochet into each of the next 2. And then into our last stitch, we are going to work 1 single crochet. Okay. So this is what we have ended with. Now it says to complete the shape, we're going to turn it upside down so that the foundation chain is at the top. So just turn this whole thing over, right around like that. We're going to work our way along, crocheting single crochet stitches into the outer loops of the foundation chain. So these loops that you see on top, the outer ones, I don't know if I can make this very clear here, but these chains right here are the chains that we're going to work 1 single crochet into. You're going to go right into that chain, or right into that one little loop there, and just work your single crochet into the outer loops. And this kind of gives both sides the same finish, because you can somewhat tell or see that foundation chain. So this just kind of gives it that fuller look like the other side. I hope you could see what I'm doing here. Just going down that foundation chain, finishing it off with single crochets. Okay. Okay, and then she says, when you get near to the end of the foundation chain, continue working a few stitches around to the end until it looks neat and you meet the beginning of the previous row. So you can work just a couple. What I did with my other birds is I just worked 2 slip stitches in. I just went into this middle one and I did a slip, and then this almost end piece, and I did a slip here, and then I'm sorry, I'm getting a mess here. Actually, that end piece worked right into a stitch there, so I don't want to create a big hole there. So I'm just going to go into that little loop area right there just so that I can come to the end. And then right here, this very beginning chain, I'm going to work one more slip and then just finish it off. I do one little chain and then leave yourself a little bit of a tail there because you need to stitch these onto your bird. But you are going to make 2 of these. So it was really simple. And this is really quick. Whip up one more of these wings. As you see, these will go onto the side of your bird. You could shape them once you're sewing them on. I probably could have done a little better job shaping, but there's our first wing. Make another, and we move on now to our body.